But the fundamental flaw with modern day self-improvement is that it constantly teaches you to think about your addiction. You have to constantly be cognizant of how long it's been since you last busted.
Bro's spinning right now, but I'm gonna let him keep going. Why You're Smart But Not Successful, video by Rayody. I don't know how people come up with these names for their channels, man. Am I supposed to be able to pronounce that? All right, let's go.
The biggest scam that you've been sold is that your addiction is the reason that you're not successful. The most common one I've seen is the hub addiction. I mean, look at this guy. He's made like 4 videos about quitting.
Hold on. Let's see here. All right, you'll never want to watch porn again after hearing my story. 11 million views. This is the last video you will need on quitting porn ever. 4.7 million views. Quitting porn is actually a lot easier than you think. 1.7 million views. I mean, hey, bro has cultivated a large audience on the topic. Is what it is.
He just knows that it's an infinite view glitch and that his viewers think that if they stop watching adult content, all of a sudden they're gonna become successful. People channel all of their weaknesses through one insecurity and think that if they quit, all of a sudden all of their problems are going to be solved. I can't talk to girls because I have low confidence because I watch too much corn. I don't have the energy to work out because I obliterate my sausage 5 times a day. I can't focus because of it. All my problems stem from this one thing. And self-improvement creators know this frame of thinking and exploit it to the max, which is why there's 5 million videos about quitting corn and very few about taking active steps towards your goals. Because you want to know the brutal truth, your addiction isn't the problem, you have a skill issue. Sure, of course you shouldn't abuse adult content, nicotine, food, material possessions, but just by quitting those things doesn't mean you're all of a sudden gonna become successful. And this is extremely easy to prove. All I need to do is point at successful people who openly have addictions, and I know and you know plenty of unsuccessful people who have no such vices. Kanye West self-admittedly said that at the age of 5 he found one of his dad's dirty magazines and was addicted from that point on. Now, the fact that that happened was a bad thing, but even despite the addiction, Kanye West became one of the greatest and most influential musicians and fashion designers in the world. You should quit or drastically reduce the amount of adult content that you watch, but even if you can't, don't act like that's the reason that you aren't achieving your goals. You could wake up at 5 every morning, take a cold shower, meditate, have your coffee, and get sunlight in your eyes like Andrew Huberman, but if you aren't directly working on the tasks that are relevant towards your goals, you're completely wasting your time. The funniest thing is you're gonna get beat by the guy who wakes up at 11, obliterates his Johnson while watching Lana Rhoades get quad stuffed first thing in the morning, hits his grapefruit flavored cancer box, but then actually gets to work on what he needs to. You have it backwards. You think that you aren't achieving your goals because of your addictions, but you get addicted because you aren't actively achieving your goals. You feel guilty that you aren't going to the gym or studying or writing or practicing, so you fall back on what gives you comfort. And you think that falling back on what's comfortable is stopping you, but really it's the inaction towards your goals. Because if you were actively working towards your goals, you would have less time to think about your addiction, and therefore would relapse less often. But the fundamental flaw with modern day self-improvement is that it constantly teaches you to think about your addiction. You have to constantly be cognizant of how long it's been since you last busted. In these support groups, the first step is to admit, I am an alcoholic, I am a drug addict. You have to constantly associate yourself with your addiction and let it take up space in your mind. But the simple cure that no one will tell you is to
Bro's spinning right now, but I'm gonna let him keep going.
find an environment and a pursuit that's more fulfilling than your current state and addiction. Constantly watching videos about how to quit watching the hub will never make you permanently quit, and more importantly, will never make you get closer to achieving your goals. You're not taking any sort of action, and all you're really doing is spending more time concerning yourself thinking about your addiction. Constantly thinking about your addiction is literally just going to make you more likely to relapse. And what you don't to understand is that your addiction is not the reason that all of your problems exist, and that quitting your addiction will not magically solve all your problems. You think that you can't talk to women because you're addicted to watching The Hub, but that's wrong. You can't talk to women because you don't know how. And the only way you'll learn how is through talking to them even when you're nervous or don't know what to say. And like with any skill, you'll only get better through talking to more women and understanding what communicational triggers will make them like you or not like you. Everything I just said were actionable steps, and none of it has to do with quitting your addiction. You could be in your mom's basement gooning 5 hours a day, but as long as you can strike up a conversation with a random girl at your school, college, or workforce without being weird, that's all that matters. And funnily enough, you're actually ahead of the guy who's on a 100-day no-fap streak but still doesn't have the courage to talk to a random girl. Action is quite literally the only thing that matters, and you can spend all this time on mindset, but it's ultimately pointless if it doesn't lead to anything. I mean, we literally admire addicts because their success is not in any way inhibited by their addiction. How many people we all know and love are addicted to women, pharmaceuticals, and especially gambling? Michael Jordan was able to be the most famous person on the planet, an international sports superstar, and dominate the NBA for a decade while also being a crippling gambling addict. It doesn't really seem like his addiction stopped him from doing much.
Yeah, again, we can find so many examples that fit this bill. He already mentioned Kanye with his addiction to porn. I think of Ray Charles and his addiction to heroin. I am sure so many of, I mean, dude, literally half of the most poppin' hip hop artists half of their songs are about their various drug addictions and their addictions to all forms of carnality, such as sleeping with strippers and things of that nature. So he's 100% right. He's also right on the money when he talks about this fixation that you have on this behavior that you're trying to overcome is actually making it worse. I know this firsthand, but especially secondhand, or would that be third hand? When I was a Christian and a devout Christian and in Christian spaces, the level of fixation that people, young men in particular, put on wanting to overcome this thing, it literally consumes their mind 24/7. They literally believe that if they engage in this behavior, they're not a Christian. They're not born again. They're on their way to burn in hell. The thing that they're obsessed about, they're obsessed with the Bible, obsessed with God. All these things are at stake, and yet, you know what happens? Like clockwork. Sometimes it's a few weeks, sometimes it's a few months. They relapse. And then they have this crisis of like, oh, am I even really a Christian? And so much of that is because it's this fixation. As I've said before, what you resist persists. So am I saying to just dive headfirst into the nearest tub of cocaine? Am I saying to go ahead and subscribe to several OnlyFans models and start gooning till your heart's content? No, not at all. What I'm telling you to do is to shift your focus. Don't worry about these various behaviors that are problematic in your life. If you focus on the reality that you want to obtain, the state you want to be in, if you make that your primary focus, well, then if any of these behaviors are hindering, a hindrance to achieving that, they will naturally fall away on their own. I don't drink like often, right? Very rarely will I drink. I enjoy drinking. I do not actively make the decision I'm not going to drink. I am just so focused on aligning with the reality that I wish to see manifest in the present that I just go the whole day, and naturally my desires and the decisions that are presented to me throughout the day just don't align with finding time to get a drink. And so that's my recommendation to any young man who is wanting to stop this behavior. That's a great thing. All right, it's a good thing. It would also be a great thing if you never ate pizza again for the rest of your life. That's how I look at pornography. It's like eating pizza. It's like eating junk food. It's like drinking a beer. It's not good for you. It's not great for you. It makes you feel good in the moment, and when done to excess, can have lasting negative effects on your body and on your mind. But in moderation or done infrequently, the long-term effects it will have on your life are pretty much negligible, if not non-existent. And so what you need to be focused on is what you actually want. And I think, again, to circle back around to another point he made in this video, people make this their mission because they don't want to sit down and figure out what exactly is it that they want. They do not have a crystal clear vision of the life that they wish to live, of the goals that they wish to achieve. They have a general vague sense that they want to be successful. And so, like he was saying, they think, oh, if I can just overcome porn, my sexual energy is going to build up in my body, and that's going to turn me into some kind of hyper alpha male, super driven guy, and I'll just figure it out and become rich. No, that's not going to happen. You first need to figure out what exactly it is that you want to achieve, what's the life you want to live. And then by aligning with that, everything else will figure itself out. By focusing on getting closer to that reality, everything else will figure itself out. Also, just so you know, the science is quite clear that going long periods of time without ejaculating does not raise your testosterone at all. It may do it temporarily, especially if you are somebody who is ejaculating and watching pornography and all the various things that come with that reduce your testosterone. Yeah, if you stop watching porn and masturbating, your testosterone will rise temporarily, but then it will fall back down to baseline. And you'd have the same testosterone if you lived a normal life and ejaculated at whatever it'd be a regular amount of time for you based on your age and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Your natural sex drive and whatever. So, yeah, man, that's the key. The reason you are not successful is not because you're imperfect. That's not what's holding you back. You lack vision and the discipline to hold to that vision consistently. It must be front and center in your mind. What is the reality that you most want to occupy right now? Figure that out, and that needs to be front and center. And anytime you come to a crossroads and ask yourself, what should I do here? Ask yourself, does this align with me getting closer to the reality that I want to exist in? What exactly does that reality look like? And does this, if I make this decision, do those two things harmonize? See, when you make that your guiding compass, all the decisions become clear, and you will naturally just evolve with time to becoming that person. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Thank you for listening. Peace.